Good evening. The time is 7:35. Apologize for our late start. We will now adjourn our public hearing and regular business session of the mayor and council of the city of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, March 27th, 2017. First business order tonight is an invocation. What I would like is a moment of silence. I don't know how many of you in the room knew John Richards, but John Richards has been a friend of Snellville for many years, was very instrumental in the organization and running of our Commerce Club. John found out on Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving that he had cancer, and he passed away yesterday. So I would ask you all to bow your heads in a moment of silence for John Richards. Thank you all very much. And right now we'll have the South Gwinnett ROTC. Please stand while they present colors. We'll move on to our minutes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of the March 13th, 2017 meetings and the March 16th specially called meeting.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. The minutes are approved. Next, we'll have our committee reports. First on the agenda this evening, we have our Board of Appeals Chairman Marcy Ferris. Good evening, Marcy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We did not meet this month. Our next meeting is April 11th.
Thank you very much. Executive Director of Snellville Tourism and Trade, Kelly McAloon, will give her report now. Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We did meet last Monday, which is March 20th. This past Saturday, we co-hosted the Spring Green on the Spring Green Festival on the town green with the Heart of Gwinnett, and I just wanted to report it was very successful, and it was a pleasure co-hosting this event with them. Great group of volunteers. We have many of staff people that came out and helped, and along with the Heart of Gwinnett, so it was a great day. Our Commerce Club meetings are held the first Tuesday of every month at Snellville City Hall at noon. However, starting in June, we will start to meet over at the Snellville Senior Center. Lunch is provided with all classic and premium memberships. Our speaker in April will be Dr. Marilyn Peterson with Parkwood Farms, and food will be provided by Fratelli's. On April 27th is our next business after hours at Summit Chase Country Club from 6 to 8. And on a somber note, as the mayor said, John Richards was a friend of Snellville. John was a wealth of information, and he shared his knowledge and contributed to our organization in many ways. He got all the speakers for our Commerce Club for years, I think since 2011. He was on our editorial board with the Snellville Spirit, and he wrote many articles throughout the years. He helped at stat events. You saw John out there taking pictures many times, capturing those memorable moments. John will be missed, but he won't be forgotten. Thank you.
Any questions of Ms. Macklin? Seeing none, thank you, Kelly. Okay, first, now we'll go into our public hearing. Item A is the second reading of LUP 1703, RZ 1704. Mr. Lanham, I understand that you want to withdraw this without prejudice. Is that correct? Could you come up to the microphone and confirm that for me, please?
Mayor, that's correct. We would request to withdraw this application without prejudice.
Could I have a motion?
Motion to allow the applicant to withdraw their application without prejudice.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of the council? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. It is withdrawn. Next, we go to second reading RZ 17-05. Consideration action application by Park Place Snellville LLC requesting a change in condition from rezoning case LUP 1502, RZ 1502, approved 7/27/2015, to amend the rezoning concept plan and request for variances for a 5-story, 64,400 plus or minus square foot, 100 plus or minus room Hampton Inn and Suites Hotel on the 2 acres Zone BG General Business District, Park Place, 1905 Fars Road, Snellville, Georgia, parcel 5056009. Mr. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Just to go over the data real quick, this RZ 1705 is a request for a zoning modifications to change the conditions of a site-specific plan. Is to request the replacement of the 12,000 square foot restaurant, which was previously approved with a 100-room Hampton Inn. There's also requested variances associated with architectural design standards, setbacks, landscape strips, and parking. And the applicant is Park Place LLC, represented by Shane Lanham of Mahaffey, Pickens, and Tucker. The property data is approximately a 2-acre tract that was a part of original 13.17-acre tract known as Park Place, located on the corner of Fars and Scenic Highway. As you can see, to the north, you have the Presidential Commons Shopping District, Publix Shopping Center across the street, 12 Stone across the street as well. To the east, you have North Road and Fars Road with some residential, single-family residential components in the interim. The change in conditions centers around the site plan here with a 5-story, 100-room Hampton Inn and Suites. This space was originally zoned for a 12,000 square foot restaurant, which was part of a 49,000 square foot retail development, which was 9 buildings originally with 6 restaurants, 2 driveways, 1 retail, 1 dental, and 1 medical building. That plan has changed now. As you guys are aware, there's a dental provider, a Cracker Barrel, Freddy's, Zaxby's, and a soon-to-be Outback along 124, with the lots in the middle remaining vacant, and then the lot to the north, the subject property, is where the request for the hotel is being made. It's a 5-story, 100-room Hampton Inn, approximately 64,000 square feet, with two 400-square-foot meeting rooms and one 499-square-foot conference room, via swimming pool and a retaining wall on the west side of the building, as well as one access point on Fars Road, with other access points leading into the already developed center. The city of Snellville has certain zoning requirements for hotel uses. They've met all those requirements, Articles A through J. They're listed more explicitly in your staff analysis. There is one requirement which requires a pitched roof for a building, for a hotel building. I believe this requirement was for, 1 or 2 story hotels. Most of the larger buildings in Snellville, almost every other building of this size, is going to have a flat roof with parapets or some kind of varied architectural standards. They've requested a variance from that here tonight. Let's go over kind of the architectural review real quick. This is the color renderings we received that shows a first floor brick water table with the remainder of the building being used with an EIFS stucco product. A parapet roof is featured as well with varying articulations, and the columns have been used to provide depth. And this is one that was done, I believe, in Valdosta, similar to what's going to be there, except the bottom water table would be brick. They have requested a variance for the building materials, and I'll go through the variance request now in a little more detail. They've requested to be allowed to encroach into the side building setback to get the dumpster in, which is located here. Zoom in a little bit. Get a little closer. Recommended approval for that. They've requested an encroachment up here to get the drive-in, but they've let us know or agreed that they'll have to plant the landscape strip per the originally approved plan. They've asked for a request to be allowed to use 69% of EIFS total to be allowed to meet the brand standard, which you've seen one Hampton Inn. You know that they have a typical prototype that they like to project amongst their different franchises. We've recommended approval of that. In order to make the parking lot work, they've also requested that the parking spaces be made from 19 feet to 18 feet. We don't see an issue with that. Most of the time the parking stalls are overbuilt these days. That's something we'll look at in the UDO as well. They've also requested to eliminate the loading requirement, which generally is not a problem for hotels. They'll bring the trucks in on non-peak hours. They've also, not necessarily a variance, but a request to clarify the parking requirements in Snellville. We just asked for one space per room, but they're going to provide 102, and then any additional ones for restaurants, meeting rooms, or other facilities. This location does not have a restaurant or a bar or a lounge or anything that would drive spaces up outside of regular patrons. The county allows flexibility from anywhere from one space per room up to 2 space per rooms, and allows the hotel franchise to make that decision. Feel like 102 spaces, if the applicant is comfortable with that, is fine. And the last variance is request, as we discussed earlier, for a flat roof in lieu of the 412 pitched. And as you saw in the architectural renderings, the parapet with the flat roof is aesthetically pleasing, and we recommend approval. Just a few conditions. Our conclusions, we feel like the hotel use is complementary to what's already in that development. Furthermore, the traffic that was a concern and is always a concern in Snellville is 2/3 of what it would be for the previous use, so 2/3 less. So basically 1/3 of what it would have been. This is the city has a need for a limited service hotel in the scenic highway commercial corridor. We feel like it'll be used by hospital patrons, citizens, and others that are in the area for business. And if people are concerned kind of a quality aspect, I'm sure everyone knows that Hampton Inn is under the Hilton umbrella and has a reputation for being a high-quality brand. We feel like it would be an asset to the city. We've submitted some conditions as well as approval of the conditions in the ordinance that you have received tonight. Once again, we recommend approval with those conditions in the ordinance.
Any questions of Mr. Thompson? Thank you, sir. Is the applicant here? Mr. Tucker, good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Lee Tucker. I figured we'd send the offensive guard up instead of the offensive tackle. So, pleasure to be with y'all tonight. I decided and thought it would be good to come back for this because, as many of you remember, I handled the original case about 2 years ago now. And so, being able to see what's on the ground with respect to the development and how it's been done, and then have the opportunity to present to you for consideration this hotel, I just wanted to be part of something that I hope the city will look favorably on. We don't have much to add to Mr. Thompson's presentation. We agree with the Planning Department's recommendation and the Planning Commission's recommendation of approval. We agree to those conditions that are set forth there. This developer, Ronnie Thomas and Richard Swope, who are here with me tonight, have a track record in the city. We hope that will serve them well. The reason we're here is not because of a land use matter. This is an allowed use in the BG zoning classification. The issue is that when I presented the plan to you, you all, rightly so, approved a site plan specific zoning. And because this was not shown on that plan, even though it's otherwise allowed in the zoning ordinance, the condition inhibits my client's ability to present this development. And so we're here asking for a modification to that condition to allow this hotel. I agree with Mr. Thompson. I think it's a great opportunity for an amenity in the Snellville area. I think it'll serve both the existing citizens who may have out-of-town guests. It may serve folks that are over at the hospital, and otherwise be a resource and amenity for the community. And lastly, before I sit down and reserve the balance of my time, I think it will also help support STAT and the good things that they're doing. Hotel motel tax dollars are very important, and as you all know, are something that can really add value to the citizens, generally not paid by the citizens. So in that regard, we think it's a win for all parties. So be glad to answer any questions, but would respectfully request that you all approve in accordance with the Planning Department and Planning Commission recommendation. I'd like to reserve the balance of my time for rebuttal to the extent necessary.
The council have any questions of Mr. Thompson?
Yes, do you have a price point for a per night?
We think that the pro forma will be in the 120 per night range, but that's a little bit fluid and that depends on kind of the peak time. But we modeled it based on 80% occupancy at about $120 per night.
Mr. Manuel?
While you're paving the parking lot, do you have any problem completing the interparcel access that needs to be done to the property next door?
My understanding, and my understanding is that we have provided the stub, and I think the problem was coming from the other side of the property relative to that. We would like to have interparcel access, but we can't force them to come across, to allow us to come across. But we would be glad to complete it to the extent the permission is there.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, we're working on solidifying that easement right now to provide the access to complete the project.
Yeah, but the stub, I may have missed it, but I believe the stub is in on our side.
Stub is there, it just needs a little, but
Right.
if we get the easement for you, you don't have any problem completing it?
No, sir.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll now open this hearing, to public hearing, public input. Anyone who wants to speak either for or against, please step forward, give us your name and address.
Marcy Fair, 1749 Ridgedale Drive. I would like to know if you will give all of the tax from this hotel to STAT. Because if we get all the tax money that this will bring in, we could get better entertainers, and we can put them up in the Hampton Inn.
The way that the contract is with Staten Island, they do get all hotel motel tax. Would that differ, Mr. Sanders? I'm asking a question.
That is the current contract.
That's the current contract.
How long is it in effect for? A year.
Annual.
It's an annual contract.
So, for the new contract,
There's an election this year, man. We can't bind the future council. The next year's council will have to do that in the contract. I'll still be here, but I don't know about everybody else. Hopefully, they all will be.
Start campaigning now.
Any other input, either for or against?
Jerry Oberholzer, 1855 Pennystone Way, Snellville, Georgia. I speak for this proposal. I think this is a great use and development with the hotel, especially with the other associated uses we have there. One condition if it would be possible for us, is to tie this into, somehow that we control the branding to Hilton. I know they've made appointment, but I would believe it's the best interest of our city, is to have this tied to some kind of 5-year franchise agreement, so these conditions are put on a Hilton Garden Inn. And I do have one, my parents live in Woodbury, and my 82-year-old mother bends my ear about this, and she just wants me to let you know that she would like some nice landscaping around it. Every time she goes down far in 124, she lets me know about that scrub that's out there, so thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Seeing no one else, I'll close the public hearing.
Mayor Oberholzer did bring up a point. Do we have the ability to tie that to a specific brand for so many years?
Mr. Attorney?
Mr. City Attorney? Catching you flat.
Probably not a zoning issue. It could be a condition, it clearly could be a condition of zoning. The enforceability of it would be questionable. But that's really, it's a background contractual issue between the developer and the operator.
I think we could commit to, I agree with Mr. Powell. I think what we could do, though, is commit certainly, we have a franchise agreement with Hampton Inn. It's a Hampton Inn. But to the extent that were to change, we could certainly notify. We wouldn't change it and pull a bait and switch on you and have another flag come up if you all are inclined to approve this. So we do have a franchise agreement in place.
So, just so I understand, it is being built as a Hampton Inn. If that changes, it won't be built until you come back to council and change the flag.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Everyone got that? Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve RZ 17-05 with the staff recommended conditions as referenced in the ordinance 2017-09.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to make clear that there's a condition, the original conditions that are attached to this property has a requirement to do the interparcel connection in it. And it's triggered upon the city being able to deliver that access easement. We've achieved that. And what I wanted to say out loud is you're going to have to cut a curb. There's going to be some expense incurred in getting through from where you are to where that interparcel access needs to be. So, but that is something that we're going to be able to deliver to you people.
So where am I? Do I have a second? Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 approved. Snellville's going to have a Hampton Inn. Next is second reading on HRO 2017-01, Home Rule Charter Amendment to amend the charter of Snellville, Georgia by adding section 1.2 to clarify the form of government established by the existing charter. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve HRO 2017-01 as read by the mayor.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. It's 6 in favor. It's approved. Item D, second reading, HRO 2017-02, Home Rule Charter Amendment to amend the Charter of Snellville, Georgia by eliminating section 1.13. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve HRO 2017-02 as read by the mayor.
That's HRO 217-02.
2017-02.
Thank you. That's motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. The motion carries. E, second reading, HRO 2017-03, Home Rule Charter Amendment to amend Section 2.31 of the Charter of Snellville, Georgia, to clarify the authority of the mayor and council with respect to appointment powers. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve HRO 2017-03 as read by the mayor.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? Second. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. The motion carries. Second reading, HRO 2017-04, Home Rule Charter Amendment to amend Section 3.1, 3.12, and Sections 3.11, 3.12, and 3.13 of the Charter of Snellville, Georgia, to clarify the authority of the mayor and council with respect to appointment powers. All those in favor? Or, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve HRO 2017-04 as read by the mayor.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. The motion carries. Second reading, HRO 2017-05, Home Rule Charter Amendment to amend Section 5.16 of the Charter of Snellville, Georgia, to clarify the authority of the mayor and council with respect to removal of appointees. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve HRO 2017-05 as read by the mayor.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. Carries. First reading, Ordinance 2017-01, an ordinance to amend Article 4 of the Code of the City of Snellville regarding residency requirements for certain boards and commissions to repeal conflicting ordinances for other purposes. Do I have a motion?
Motion to waive the first reading on ordinance 2017-10 to schedule for second reading and public hearing on April 10th, 2017 meeting.
There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. Motion carries. We have no old business. Now we go into new business. Intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority concerning town center property acquisition. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the Downtown Development Authority concerning town center property acquisition.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion of council?
If I could, please. What this is that the city is given the authority to our Downtown Development Authority to purchase a piece of property located on Oak Road. It's the old pain clinic, for the, use in our town center planning. Town center's a big thing, and I think we all sit here wanting the town center. I'm not going to vote for this expenditure of $665,000 at this time due to just, I believe, my own personal self. There's some other things that we need to take care of before we do that. So I will not be supporting this for that reason, although I will state publicly that I do believe our town center could be a wonderful thing. In this particular case, I think, in my own personal view, we're a little bit premature in making this purchase at this time.
Any further discussion of council? Seeing none, I call the question. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 5 in favor, those opposed. 1 opposed, the motion carries. That ends our business meeting. We now go to council reports. Mr. Howard.
How's everybody doing? Good crowd tonight. Hello, anybody out there? Well, I want to thank y'all for being here tonight. A little short on the council comment tonight. I did recognize tonight that we have had officer number 30 and number 31 in our United States and that have lost their life in the line of duty. And it's something I want to point out every time that it happens. It happens far too often right now at the rate of 1 every 2.9 days. So just keep our law enforcement and all of our first responders in your thoughts and prayers. And thank y'all for letting me sit here in this chair and do the city's business. I appreciate it, and thank y'all for coming out.
Mr. Emanuel.
Something happened today that I think just typifies what we have in our city. I accidentally ran into a member of our Public Works Department. Mentioned something to him about our portable stage that needed to have some work done to it. It wasn't 2 hours later, I got an email telling me he had addressed the issue and it was solved. And I think one of the things that we are most fortunate in Snellville to have is an excellent staff, and it runs from police department, public works, people who work in this building, people who work in Parks and Rec. So whenever you see any of our employees out, I think a thank you would be in order because they do an excellent job.
Mr. Marmol.
Thank you for coming out tonight, especially all the newer faces. I was curious, who came out for the rezoning at the New Jerusalem Church Ministries? Who came out for that? Okay, just curious. My vote on that would have been no, if anybody was curious, but it's been postponed, I guess, for a month. And unless the citizens' minds change, I'll probably still be voting no. And the second part that I want to talk about, the intergovernmental agreement with the property acquisition. With that was probably one of my most difficult votes. And I didn't really have a mind made up until I was out those doors a second ago. And I believe it's the right decision moving forward for Snellville. And I just wanted to say that, but that's it.
Ms. Linsky.
Snellville Youth Commission had the opportunity to attend a teen summit. It was actually put on by the Partnership Against Domestic Violence this weekend, and the focus was on violence and abuse in teen dating, which is an area, I think, where the students really gained an incredible amount of awareness. The funnest, I'm becoming a teenager. The most fun that I think we had was taking the senior center bus. We were definitely the only teen group there coming in a senior center bus, which was kind of the highlight, I think. We've gotten through 2 successful proms. Shiloh High School had their prom this weekend, as well as South Gwinnett. And the best thing I can say about it is that all the students arrived safely and got home safely, which is the most important thing, I think, during prom season. So be mindful that every Saturday night, really from here on out. That is going to be something to think about for our young people driving in situations maybe they're not used to. And lastly, I want to mention to please keep the family of Larry Highball in your thoughts and prayers. He was a longtime coach, football coach and teacher at South Gwinnett High School. He was waiting for a heart transplant and on the list for a while, and unfortunately passed away last week. So he will be missed.
Ms. Bender?
I'd just like to make a comment about John Richards, who we had our moment of silence, and Kelly McAloon mentioned him as well in her comments. I've known John for quite a few years, probably 6 or 7 years, and he was in my leadership Gwinnett class as well. And not only was he very active here in the Snellville area, but really very, very active in Gwinnett County and also in the GOP just across the state. He has helped in you probably couldn't count all of the campaigns, all the people he advised, running for public office, the people that he mentored that wanted to be involved in politics. He knew everybody. And John was one of those people where he was very opinionated. Sometimes you agreed and a lot of times you didn't, but he always had an opinion about something. And he was one of those people too that he just would appear and all of a sudden be a major contributor in wherever he wound up. I don't even remember him when he first came into the Commerce Club, but Kelly and I were talking this afternoon. I mean, it wasn't even like he was invited to be part of the leadership of the Commerce Club or that he was asked or voted in. He was just there when we started planning things, and he was lining up speakers for our organization. And he brought in some really exceptional community and governmental speakers that really brought a new breath into the Commerce Club. He was also instrumental, again, don't know how he wound up on the editorial committee for the Spirit magazine, but there he was, there and leading and in charge, and he really helped bring some structure and organization to us as we were getting that publication off the ground. So that's just some of the impact that he's had here on Snellville, but he really has had a huge impact in the political arena, definitely in Gwinnett and across the state. So if you would keep his family in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. That ends council report. Mayor's report tonight. I just want to tell you, give you a little update on downtown. We're working on it every day, as I tell you usually at these meetings. We had a very successful meeting with the county today. Councilman Emanuel, Mayor Pro Tem Bender, and myself, along with the city attorney and the city manager, met with the commissioners and some people with the county. And I can tell you, we have made a major step towards getting our library moved from Lenore Church to our town center. And that's a very big thing for us, because that will also facilitate our market and some other things that'll happen in town center. So that's a good bit of work we got done today. We're having another meeting tomorrow about another part there. Don't know where that's going yet, but we're working on it every day. Snellville will have a town center, and it will be one that you'll all be very proud of. That ends my report, and I will open it up to the public. Anyone have anything to bring to the council? Please step up with your name and address. And I see no one. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor? Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you very much.